All right, are we rocking?
We're rocking. We're doing it.
All right, man. Awesome. So first off, thank you for tuning in for another Carving Mondays. It's all about carving your dreams here, and I have a special guest, Skyler Mullins. Super excited to have you on the show.
Glad to be here.
Should I call you Sky or is it Skyler?
Call me whatever you want as long as it's not late for dinner. Yeah.
All right. All right. So you're with Influence Media. Tell me a little bit about how you got started and like
Yep.
why your passion is video.
Yeah. So I started Influence Media. Let's see here. Been in the industry now. This will be 10 years. Originally created it as a way of just being creative. I never thought I was going to be in production or marketing or anything like that. I actually originally started going to school to be a nurse. My mom's a nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? A nurse?
A nurse.
All right.
Yeah. I was
all right.
like medical healthcare field, like that's not going anywhere, like job stability. But I was like, sounds like it'd be something fun. My buddy originally had asked me, hey, you want to shoot a music video?
Okay.
And I was like, I've literally never done that, but that sounds like it could be cool. It could be a fun experience.
Okay.
So I was like, cool, sounds great. So we filmed like this low budget SoundCloud rapper music video. And I was like, you know what? This is actually incredibly fun. And so I was like, man, if you ever got anything else like this coming up, like, let me know. Like, I'd love to get out there and do it again. And I did. And that was kind of the start of the next decade to where we are now.
Nice.
Is I picked up a camera, never put it down, and just continue to film things, commercials, senior photos, you name it. At one point, I dang near pay you for the opportunity to film something and grow the skill set. And then here we are today. Just
I
still
absolutely
doing it.
love it. Such a great answer. And I mean, you're so humble and modest, which I love about you,
Thank
but
you.
you've done commercials for real estate agents, mortgage companies, Ford, Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
I mean, some really top Rolls Royce. I mean, that's
that was a
legit
good one.
right there, right? Like
My favorite car.
your favorite car.
Yeah. If I had an extra $750,000 lying around, I might buy one.
I like it. I like it. If you have an little extra, feel free to buy me one too.
I got you.
We can be buddies and ride around
Deal.
together in it.
Sold. Yeah.
So I love talking about carving your dreams, and I break carve down into a few things. And so one of the questions I always love to ask is, you got started, but where did you get into like creatively planning and like building this business? Was it just something that you started laying out, or did it just kind of happen?
So it's actually kind of interesting because this year I said that I wanted to be more active on social media in the form of teaching other people how I got to where I'm at. I've been very blessed and fortunate to see some success in my career and growing up and learning the film industry. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody that taught me. Spoiler alert, I dropped out of film school. I never finished film school. So I have no formal
You
training.
dropped out of film school and you're doing Rolls Royce commercials.
Yeah. I mean, that's a kind of a cool testament, right? And it's actually funny because from my hometown, I sat on the board of future education for the film program there. And which was ironic because like one of my biggest advices was don't go to film school.
Okay.
Yeah, and
All
I advised film students, but
Nice.
neither here nor there. I digress. I think that the ability to do film, I guess, how would I phrase it? I think it just came from wanting to be more forward focused. And I don't know that it just happened. Like, I think it did just happen.
Mhm.
I don't think that there's any like strategic planning initially.
Okay.
I think it was more of very much the mindset of sweat equity wins.
Mhm.
The more I film, the more I do, the more I win.
Yep.
And so and kind of going back to the idea of like, I wanted to teach people how I got to where I'm at. That's one of the biggest things I've struggled with is how do I teach someone how to be here when I'm like, I don't know that there's any one way to doing it. For me in this industry, there's no cut and dry way to be successful. And even to where I'm at now, sometimes I like my wife, she like laughs and she's like, I just don't understand how you get all these opportunities. And I'm like, me neither, but like it works. Whatever I'm doing works. And I just keep on doing that. So I've always said I can never teach you how to be successful, but I can teach you how I got here.
Okay. I like it. I like it. So, at what point did you like aspire to be greater and like build your company and take it to the next level?
Yeah. So before ever owning my own company, I was a video producer for a marketing agency, an automotive marketing agency,
Mhm.
which is where the background of like Rolls Royce and stuff comes from. Is for many years, I worked for this marketing agency and I filmed commercials for Ford, Mazda, Honda, Toyota, Kia, Volkswagen. There's 16 different manufacturers that we shot for.
Okay.
And most of them were never cool. Like commercials, it
Okay.
was like, for $2.99, like this month, get your Honda Civic,
Oh,
like
okay. All right. Yeah.
those kinds of
Yeah.
commercials.
Yeah.
But it certainly gave me experience in doing automotive content and whatever. But it was during COVID, when COVID first happened. I had my own company, and I was at the point where I was already like, I think here in the near future, like I can just be full time this. I don't need this marketing agency.
Okay.
But I wasn't quite there. I think there was just mentally I was not quite there, just because I was like, that's a big step.
Right.
Like
All right.
there's zero
Yeah.
security now.
Yeah.
Like I don't have employee benefits.
Yeah.
So but I ended up getting laid off in the middle of COVID,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
it was a total surprise.
Yeah.
Like never saw it coming.
Yeah.
I walked in the office one day and was called for a meeting to talk about the next 3 months of video production for the rest of these like
Okay.
agencies.
All
And
right.
I'm like sitting there with my notebook, and I got my notes titled out, and it's not even just me. We've got graphic designers in there, project managers, everyone's in there. And they were like, all right, so let's talk about the video production. Skyler, today is going to be your last day. And I was like, what? Like it was such a shock. It was such a shock.
Wow.
No planning, no preparation.
And just dropped it just like
Just
that.
dropped it like that. And they're like, yeah, go ahead and go up into your office, grab all your stuff, and head on out. And I was like,
Wow.
no 2 week notice. I mean, I'd worked there for years. Like
Wow.
I had brought in this business millions of dollars. Like, so
Wow.
it was not a poor performance thing. I was
No.
just like, oh my gosh. So I think that though was like the turning moment where I was like, at this point, I just found out I was going to be a dad for the second time.
Okay.
So like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a dad.
Right.
I was like, I had just bought a house. I was like, I have so much riding on me right now.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't have the option to sit back and put it in cruise control. Like, I need to make something happen.
Yeah.
And I would say that I've always been overall a more than average motivated person. Like,
Mhm.
I like being independent. I like making money. I like being able to say that I did that thing.
Right.
I take a lot of pride in what I do. But I think at that moment, it was like, it was no longer a matter of like, I really want to do this business thing one day. It was like, well, today's the day. You start
Right.
today.
So you reacted to your dreams.
Yeah,
right
I
then
was
and
like, I
there,
had
like
to.
you had to.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, now like I've saved up 6 months of my income and I've got like a savings account and a blah blah. It was like, no, you need to go get clients. You need to grow. You need to expand. You need to do this right now, or like you're gonna lose your house.
Yeah, you answered like a few of my questions all in one. Like
Nice.
it's so funny because like react to your dreams is coming next, and
Yeah.
then victory isn't without its trials. What's some of your biggest trials that you went through? And I mean, you named off some already.
Sure.
So thank you for speeding this along here.
Thanks. Yeah. I try.
Do you think that's one of your biggest trials that you've had then is that moment that they laid you off, or
Yeah.
have there been other big trials as well?
I think, yeah, that definitely certainly is one of the
Right.
biggest trials that I had, of just being forced to chase my dreams now. Like it
Right.
wasn't like I had made the conscious decision. I was forced to make a decision now, and it was either that or I just was unemployed.
No.
The film industry as a general, there's not a lot of companies out there that are hiring full-time producers. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the film industry, the production world, the marketing world, I guess not so much the marketing world, but the production side of marketing
Mhm.
is a lot of freelancers.
Yeah.
Where like, hey, I
Yeah.
need a videographer, and you're going to find some dude with a camera and hire
Yeah.
him for the day.
No.
Most companies don't have an internal video team.
No.
So I knew that I was like, I just need to make this job work, or I'm gonna have to go work at McDonald's or something.
Oh,
This
okay.
just
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me.
No.
So yeah, I would say that's a big one. I would say another one would be moving to Arizona.
Mhm.
I think that so fast forward, almost 10 years, and now we've done really good. We've got a lot of achievements. We've won a bunch of awards. We've worked with a lot of those big clients you had mentioned, and now I'm in growth mindset.
Right.
I need to grow because I want to grow. Not
Right.
so much like I have to grow, but more of like, if I want to retire at 40, then
Mhm.
that's what I need to do. Right.
So you
So
made it here and you want to take it here.
exactly. So
Yeah.
now I feel like it's more, this is where the strategic part comes in
Right.
of what's going to be best for the company, not necessarily what's best for only Skyler, but how do I see
Mhm.
this company grow?
Right.
And so, yeah, so January now will be a year that I've lived in Arizona. And I had decided, okay, I'm going to expand outside of Washington State, which is where I'm
Mhm.
originally from. And I was like, I need to grow outside of Washington. I feel like I'd started to sort of reach a ceiling where now it starts. I've like basically hit all the big markets. I got all those check marks, and I could continue to try to get in the nitty gritties and expand out further
Mhm.
and whatever. I was like, or let's just go nationwide, if you will, and look somewhere
Yeah.
else. So, Stephen Collins, who's my business partner now, I had been working with him, geez, probably 2-3 times a week for a couple years. Like, I mean,
Okay.
he had basically become an unofficial part of influence media. Like, he was just an integral part of everything we were already doing. And he had moved to Arizona. Um, and he had started a filmmaking group here called Arizona Filmmakers. He had started working with some like really big brands. Like, he had helped with like the Super Bowl. He had shot for the
Okay.
UFC. He'd done a bunch of really cool stuff. And so when I got to the point of wanting to expand, I was like, I don't want to hire more employees. I want to bring somebody in that has that ownership mindset, that we can walk together and can help me at the highest level,
Mhm.
and really work in congruency to grow the company more than just having somebody do some stuff for me to lighten my plate.
Right.
And so I reached out to him. I said, hey, I'm thinking about going to either, it was Arizona, California, or Texas. I was like, what's Arizona like, man? Like, tell me about it. Do you think it's worth, the area? You're there, you're doing it. What's it like? And he was like, it's amazing. And I was like, if I came there, what's your thoughts on uh, ditching your company? We absorb it and you come team up with Influence and we take over the world together. And he was like, sounds great to me. And I was like, all
Nice.
right, cool.
Nice.
And so the rest is history. So uh, I had decided in September of 2022 that I was going to move to Arizona. And January of 2023, I was an official resident. So
Nice.
I think that equates out to like 3 months. So in a matter of 3 months, I decided I was going to move. I sold my house, like 90% of my possessions. Like, we
Yeah.
got rid of all the furniture. Just basically sold our entire life. Packed up my kids and my wife,
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, we're going to Arizona."
Yeah.
And now it's been a year. It's been great. We've increased our revenue twofold, 200%,
Yeah.
doubled our income, and it's been like a really great experience overall. But that was a ginormous one of like,
Yeah.
you know, I remember talking to my wife and my family, like, and they're like, "You're kind of killing it in Washington. Like, you've
Mhm.
done a really great job. Like, why would you
Yeah.
basically move to another state and start it all over?" And I'm like, "Well, because I just see the opportunity elsewhere."
Yeah.
Um, so that was a big triumph of just like, I'm very much a calculated risk guy. I'm not just like, I'll never invest in Bitcoin because I'm like, it's too volatile. I don't know, man.
I've always
Like,
been sketchy on that as well, so
yeah, I'm
I
like,
understand that.
I just go with what I know and like how I feel confident. And I just felt confident in it. And I was like, I mean, it's a big risk to
Yeah,
basically
it
uproot
is.
your whole, like, your kids. I got kids and a
Yeah.
wife, and like, we didn't have friends or family here,
Yep.
nothing. And so to start that all the way from ground zero was
Yep.
risky, but I think was one of the best decisions I could have made in my career.
That's impressive that you did it by yourself. So I also give credit to my brother because he was the first one to come out here to Arizona as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was it like coming to Arizona? Because he drove here by himself in his car with his dog, and I'm like, he was the first one here. I came after you, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm like, I've been here 7, 8 years now, and I remember that feeling of going all the way from Ohio all the way out here to
Hmm.
Arizona, and it was for a promotion and so forth and mortgages, and it's a little scary making that leap, but for
Yeah,
me the same. I mean, it's been one of the best things I've ever done.
it
So
is. The nice weather doesn't hurt.
yeah, absolutely. Even though it's like rainy right now,
I
but
know.
I don't know what's going on in Arizona today.
Well, coming from Washington last year, we only had 33 days that it did not rain.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, I'll take
So
it.
one of my biggest fans is actually in Washington, Carolyn Wilkham. If you're watching, hey, how are you? We met because I did the whole tiny house thing.
Yeah.
Well, we did a travel trailer and everything, and she
Mm.
was our neighbor And she would come down during the, winter time and
Yeah.
as a snowbird and so forth. And, she found out we were getting engaged and she made this whole, Disney wedding thing because that's what we were wanting to do and so forth. So Washington, my heart is for the people up in Washington up there. I've almost
Yeah.
been tempted to get my license for mortgages up there, but I
Yeah.
haven't done that. But anyways,
Yeah. It's a nice
love
place. It's
Washington.
pretty.
And so I also wanted to talk to you about like reacting to your dreams and kind of go back to that one a little bit. Like
Mhm.
when you first started saying, "Hey, I want to be in video and I want to do this," like, you know, were people like, "You're crazy, you're nuts, like what are you doing? Like you're
Yeah.
gonna be homeless," or like what happened there? Like
Yeah. So, well, I kind of equate out to, well, first off, I would say a majority of my family was just pumped.
okay,
I
nice,
come from a
nice.
family of entrepreneurs. My mom, we've kind of joked that she goes through career changes, like she goes through underwear. I mean, she's done credit repair. She is currently going to school to finish her ARNP.
Oh, okay, nice.
But she's been a psychiatric nurse, a bunch of different kinds of nursing, which is why I want to do nursing.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
My stepdad, he owns a contracting business. He's a general contractor. We've owned a coffee shop. I mean, we've just done so
Nice.
many different things. Like our family as a whole has been very make your own money,
Hmm.
entrepreneurial of some
Yeah, that's
aspect. So
cool.
when I said, "Hey, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to do videos and make commercials and make videos,"
Hmm.
that side of the family was like, "Cool, sounds great. Like work hard, make it happen." Now my dad on the other side, he is very blue collar.
Okay.
He works for the U.S. government as a nuclear pipe fitter for military boats.
Okay.
Like, so he's like very much like work for the man, get your paycheck, get a pension,
Right.
retire. And so in the beginning, he literally said that I was an idiot. He's like, this is so dumb. Now, mind you, when I first got into
Yeah.
production like 10 years ago, it's not what it is today, where like everyone on social, like even having this conversation right now was not a
Mhm.
thing 10 years ago. Like a podcast, what's that?
Yep.
Like nobody
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
podcasts. So when I first brought it up, he's like, this guy is dumb. He should just go get a normal job, go to college, do whatever he's got to do, whatever, go work for the man and retire.
Right. Right.
And clearly I didn't listen. But now I think that he is very much on board. He's like,
Mhm.
like he's really proud of what I've done and has expressed like, I thought you were crazy at first, but you made it happen. So
That's
like,
cool.
good on you, dude,
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that like when you tell your family like, hey, I'm going to be a filmmaker,
Mhm.
it is kind of in the same category as like rock star and astronaut,
Yeah.
where they're like, what
I
do you
get
mean?
it. I get it. A lot of my family are iron workers
Yeah.
and nurses and things like that as well. Very blue collar. My dad
Yeah.
was an iron worker.
Yep.
And it's that lifestyle and you're working hard and that's where I get a lot of my work ethic from is
Hmm.
my father, very
Yeah.
hard worker. And I get a lot of that work ethic from him, but it's like making those leaps to do something different,
Totally.
is
Different.
different.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I said though, it's been overall great, and now especially today, my family thinks it's so awesome, and
That's cool.
my parents, my mom and my stepdad, they are pastors, and I've even
Oh,
flown.
really?
Yeah, they're in
Really?
California, but I've flown and helped them make videos for their
Oh,
church
wow.
or
Wow.
various things like that, and film has become such an integral, like in video production, has been such an integral part
Hmm.
of my life now that. Like it pays my bills, it's my hobby, it's my everything, and everyone around me has seen the success that's
Yeah.
happened from it. So I think that overall everyone approves now, and they're like,
I love it.
how cool that he was able to do it.
I absolutely love it. And I mean, it really goes on to finish, one of my last things of carving your dreams, and that's entertaining nothing else.
Yeah.
So, the no sayers out there, entertain nothing else. And I love that you even brought up your family with pastors and everything like that, because I believe a lot. I don't know if you've heard Steve Harvey's Jump. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
So, part of my phone, by the way, here. I'm sure that's popping up in the mic.
Yeah.
But so Steve Harvey has this really cool thing. Feel free to YouTube it, where he says that everyone is born with a God-given gift, and it's about jumping, taking that leap off the cliff.
Sure.
And maybe it might, your parachute or your sail might not sail,
Sure. Yeah.
right away. You might fall down, get some bruises, and so forth. But it's using that gift. And I mean, you clearly have an awesome gift. I mean, you're
Thank you.
really, honestly, like I've watched your videos, I've checked out your, the shorts and so forth. Like, I'm so like honored to be working with you,
Oh,
honestly. Like,
thank
truly,
you. Thank
truly,
you.
like, you're an amazing guy. And I mean, it just everything that you've created and that you've gone on to do you feel like you've really, did a lot of that with God's help and so forth as well then?
I will say,
And I'm not trying to put
no,
you
you're
on the
good.
spot
Yeah.
religiously or anything like that.
No,
Like,
totally.
you can be like,
Totally.
Aaron, I don't want to talk about this if you want.
No, 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 no. So, it's kind of interesting that you bring that up. So yeah, my parents are pastors.
Mhm.
So I definitely grew up in I use the term religious very lightly, but
Okay.
a religious household. We went to church on Sunday,
Right.
and my parents went to Bible school when I was like 8. So um, my whole life I've had some sort of like influence in religion
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
God and Christianity in general. Um, I think that there's a couple different things I'll touch on. So do I think that where I'm at now is a direct correlation from God? I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that one thing that I pride myself on, especially being that my parents are pastors, is not being a fake Christian.
Okay.
Um,
Nah, I like
and
that.
I really take that to heart where, and maybe this kind of like derails the conversation a
You're
little bit,
fine.
but I hate people that are like, oh, I'm a Christian guy and
Yeah.
like, praise the Lord. And then like they do drugs or something crazy.
Right.
Like
Right.
I don't know, like, it's like, you're not a Christian guy, but so it makes everybody else look bad. It makes all the rest of religion and Christianity look bad when you're
No.
not living that
No.
lifestyle. So I'm really careful about that.
No.
Because like, I drop an F-bomb from time to time,
Same
you know,
here. Same
like
here.
I'm not, I drink sometimes, like,
Right.
whatever. I don't live this holy art thou lifestyle all
Right.
the time. So I
Right.
don't want to be like, I'm a Christian godly man, praise Jesus.
Yeah.
Cause that's not it. However,
Mhm.
I do believe that people are born with a God-given gift. And I do think that it is about finding that gift. And I think that some people, and I say this in film all the time, is either you got it or you don't.
Yeah.
At some point, you can fake it till you make it. And you can fake your skills. You can
Mhm.
fake it like you're this talented, whatever. But, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, Quentin
Mhm.
Tarantino, they didn't just practice a bunch and become the people they are today.
Right.
They were born with an ability that was able to tell stories better than anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at it too. Now, I truly believe that storytelling and video production and stuff like that is my God-given gift. And
Mhm.
so I do a testament to that. And I think that there's been a lot of opportunities that have come in my life that just feel like a blessing from God
Yeah.
because I remember, and I'll kind of keep this one short, but one of my first big breaks in my career came from a guy named Griffin. And Griffin, I've never talked to him since, still to this
Okay.
day.
Okay.
Never talked to him since. He came to me and he said, "Hey, Skyler, I heard that you're the best video production company around." Mind you, I'd been in business. I had my LLC. I'm not kidding you. Maybe 30 days at that point.
Okay.
Like I had my, it was like,
All right.
how am I the best guy around? And like, I just started. Okay. Like, but somehow he said, someone said you're the best production company around. I've got this idea. I want to create basically Seinfeld's comedians in cars getting coffee,
Okay.
but with politicians and private jets. I want to
Okay.
film politicians in their hometowns in private jets. We'll rig the airplanes up with private, like with cameras all over the place,
Mhm.
fly around or whatever, do an interview with them. And I want to do a 6-episode pilot series.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you $10,000 to do it. Now, today, if
Mhm.
someone said, "Hey, I want you to produce 6 pilot episodes for Netflix for $10,000," I'd laugh and be like, "There's no way I could do it for that." But at the time,
At the time, you're like, yes,
yeah,
I'm sure, right?
At the time, I didn't even own my own cameras. Like I was like $10,000.
Yeah.
Like I could go buy a camera and lenses and this and that and whatever. And so that's exactly what I did. And I
Yeah.
still own that camera today. But this guy, he had a doctorate, a PhD in Christian theology,
Okay.
and was very much a Christian man.
Mhm.
And I remember working with him. And then once I delivered him the final episode, and he was like, "All right, looks good. Like, thanks, I appreciate it. Let's
Yeah.
see what happens." Whatever. Fell off the face of the earth.
Really?
Never talked to him since.
Really?
Like, it just complete. Like,
So did
just,
the show ever come out?
no,
The show never
never,
even
never
out.
came out. Never did anything with it. I like have tried to reach out to him since. Never heard from him. Nothing. Like ghosted on Facebook. Can't find him on Facebook. Nothing. And so we've
Wow.
joked that this dude was
Wow.
like an angel. Like
Wow.
this per
Okay.
job like kickstarted my career to where it is today. And I would not be here without that
Wow.
equipment that I was able to purchase from that stuff. I would not have gotten the experience. And
Yeah.
even just working with some of the people that I had worked with from that shoot have gotten me ginormous contracts later down in life. Like everything about that was just like felt like a God-given moment in my career.
Yeah.
And so like I've joked that like Griffin never existed. He was just an angel. And so I do think that in some parts that I would have never gotten the opportunities without like the hand of God in my life. And like, I believe God's got a plan for everybody and we'll figure it out. And I think this is my, God's plan for me. So I think that, yeah. And I think in some ways there is, I think I certainly would not be here either if I didn't work hard too.
Yeah.
I think there's a testament to working hard. God's not going to dish it all to you, but
absolutely.
I think the combination.
Yeah. I think, I guess I've been a little closer to God a lot recently and everything because of the trialing year we had in mortgages last year and everything.
Sure.
One of the worst years I've had in mortgages in over a decade. And so I went back to think about like when I first got into mortgages and so forth. And I'm a lot about like positive energy and bringing in that positive energy in and so forth. And, you can articulate that with God or,
Totally.
whatever, but that's a lot of my beliefs. And I was like, man, I haven't really like harnessed that positive energy as much recently and everything. And so, I I was actually laughing and talking to my mom, who's very religious, and my grandfather actually was a pastor of like an old school like Baptist church, like Norman Rockwell painting, like church next to the river. Like matter of fact, I think they still baptize people, anyone watching from back home, in like the creeks and stuff like that. So,
oh my gosh,
like it's old school. Yeah.
That's intense.
So, I didn't grow up directly with that. We lived away, but I've been praying a lot more and so forth, and especially just everything going on in the mortgage industry. And then I met you, man. And I mean, honestly, like I feel like with the software company, going back to design and going back to all of this, like I feel like there's certain people that are coming into my life right now for the right reasons. And like, I'm so blessed to have you here. Like, honestly, like truly, like I wanted to tell you that. So
thank you.
I wasn't even like, honestly, like I was even thinking about this conversation beforehand because I'm like, do I want to bring up God in this interview? Everyone that knows me knows I've never brought up God in any of my talks. None of them. Like this is the first time I've ever brought this up. And something about you, man. Something about you, like you want to go out there and you want to show people how to, do video, and you want to show people how to make their dreams come true. Like I support you, man. Like I completely support you. Something my company is doing as well at Carver Sync is we have a whole coaching program.
Yeah.
And so I would love to talk to you further about maybe how we can even help build that out.
Totally.
And maybe get you as one of my coaches, and work something out for that. So
I'm all about it, man. When I got into this, I didn't have anybody to tell me nothing, and it's actually kind of ironic. I will say I did have a little bit of mentorship through a guy named Brady Beaton, and ironically Brady works for me now, and like we work on stuff, but that was the guy that was like, hey, you want to come film a music video? And I was like, yeah, sure, sounds great.
Yeah,
and now we work together, and he does all of our content creation in Washington, and so it's cool to be able to do that. But I didn't really have a whole lot. Like I never learned anything, and the film industry as a whole is very gate kept. There's a lot of like hush secrets, and I'm not gonna, because as soon as everybody else knows how to do it, now maybe I'm invaluable, or in my eyes, I'm like, I just want to teach everybody how to do it, and how I did it specifically. I can never give you the keys to success 100%, but at least I can give you something.
We can't give you the gift, but if you have the gift,
exactly,
we can show you some techniques.
I can't teach you how to work hard, but I can tell you when you work hard, this is what happens. At least for me, it did. And so
I love it.
That I think is worth something.
Yeah,
I think it is, at least.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you made it happen. So I had a instructor back in school and everything. His
Mhm.
name was James Pack, and I wish I would have reached out to him sooner. I actually, I started the software company, and I'm getting that all up and going, and like he came across my mind, and he was someone like, I mean, I hugged the man and everything, like on my graduation, everything. Like he pushed me for perfection, and he always told me, Aaron. He said, "You're going to be great in this, but if you continue the sales path, you're never going to go into design."
Yeah.
Little did he know I continued the sales path because it always, paid better at the time
Yep.
compared to entry level positions.
Hmm.
I didn't take that leap like you did and go
Yeah.
off and run my own business. And that's amazing that you did that. And I, ended up going mortgages and sales and so forth. And now here I am going back into like I've been feeling so alive lately, like going back into design and CRM systems and all that. And I was trying to reach out to him, and I found out he passed away 2 years ago.
Ah,
And I'm like, man, I wish I would have like reached out and said something. Is there anyone that you would reach out to, like if you could, like, do you feel like there's something that you would have said thank you for or anything like that? I mean, we already talked about the mystery angel.
yeah. Seriously. Well, I think this is an interesting time, as far as reaching out and saying thank you and or whatever. Because I actually, so not at all to be Debbie Downer, but I lost my mom last month.
Oh wow,
And
yeah.
so um, I remember back in August, I filmed a music video in my hometown. And this music video was basically about the city, for the city, by the city.
Okay, yeah.
And the song was called From the Brem, from Bremerton.
Okay, yeah.
And we wanted to try to include everybody we possibly could from the city of Bremerton. And the city of Bremerton, like you've probably never even heard of it.
No, not at
But
all.
I'll tell you just really quick
I
a
saw
couple.
something about it on your Facebook,
Yeah,
Brim.
I'll
But
rattle
now I
off a
understand.
couple little things that it's really interesting. Is there's a lot that comes from Bremerton. Multiple NBA players have come from Bremerton.
Okay.
Sir Mix-a-Lot has roots in
Okay.
Bremerton.
All right.
Quincy Jones,
Okay.
which I'm sure everyone's heard of Quincy Jones by now. Quincy Jones is from Bremerton. The entire downtown part of Bremerton is getting turned into a memorial for Quincy Jones. He still
Wow.
lives there.
Wow.
Um, all these just historic icons, MXPX. I mean, the Foo Fighters that were originally from Washington
Really?
had stuff in Bremerton. Yeah. So I mean, there's
Okay.
so many crazy things that come from
Wow.
Bremerton, but nobody's ever heard of it,
No,
right?
no, not at
So
all.
we wanted to create a music video that hit the whole city, that the
No.
entire city could be a part of, and we invited the entire city to be in the music video too.
Oh, that's cool.
In the first week, we had reached over 100,000 people.
Wow.
We had news stations reaching out to us. We had the mayor of the entire city show up to be in
Mhm.
the music video. It was just a music video of epic historic
I need to watch this
proportions.
music video.
It was so cool. You totally should. From the Brem, go check it out by Jay Freeze. It's an amazing music video. But I say all that to say is that my stepmom had showed up,
Mhm.
and at that point in her health, she was like real frail, and
Yeah.
so her making it in the first place was just awesome.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where my team, we were doing a behind the scenes documentary at the same time, and so we have videographers running around, and I was directing, so I wasn't there at the moment. But one of the guys was capturing the artist signing autographs. The whole
Mhm.
city was like wanted autographs from me and the artist,
No,
and
no.
so I'm signing somewhere else, and the other artist,
Oh, that's
the artist
awesome.
is signing autographs. But my mom had gone up to the artist
Mm.
and had asked for his autograph, and begins to brag about how she was my mom,
Oh,
and
okay.
was like, "Oh, I'm
Wow.
Skyler's mom. I'm so proud of him, and this is
Oh.
so cool," and blah 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 blah. And I think that I still have the video footage. I remember being able to watch the video, um, and it makes you think that you just never really know when, like, people are going to go. You
Yeah.
just never know when the last time that, like, you're going to get to work with somebody, or how much impact someone's going to have in your life until later. So I think a good rule of thumb is, like, always just like, if you get this like little itch, and I actually was just talking to a client, no kidding, maybe 3 days ago about this,
No.
because his mother had also passed away recently,
wow.
but almost at the exact same time. And he was saying, if you just get that itch, like, oh, I wonder how they're doing, like, just call them,
No.
give them a call, reach out to them,
No.
say what's up, thank them for what they've done in your life, whatever. And I think that that's the same way where I don't really have a whole lot of mentors, but I'm so appreciative of all the people in my life that have supported me up until this point, that have shared my videos or
No.
gave me feedback or anything. Cause I just wouldn't be where I'm at in life now if it wasn't for those people. If it wasn't for my stepmom or my parents or even my wife, holy cow, she's put up with,
Yeah.
I mean, we've been together for 11 years. So she knew me before I even started in production. So when I was like, hey, babe, I'm going to be a filmmaker. She's like, cool. You going to pay the bills too? Or, so, and even to the highs and the lows, she's seen the cool stuff, the bad stuff. She's been there for everything. So ginormous shout out to my wife for
That's
holding
awesome.
it down while I've been chasing my dreams and my career.
And you have two beautiful kids now, right?
I do. She's a super mom too. Like, man, no, I'm incredibly blessed to have somebody like that in my life too. So
yeah, your daughter's adorable, by the
she
way.
is so cute and so sassy. You would just not believe that a 2-year-old has that much spunk in such a tiny little body.
Appreciate every moment, man,
Oh,
because I'm telling you, like those hugs start to go away.
yeah.
They do come back, but
Yeah.
they do go away for a while.
Yeah.
So appreciate all those little daddy's the best hugs. I'm telling you.
Well, it's kind of funny because even now she is like mommy's girl up one side and down the other.
Nope.
And it's funny. I'd be like, Joe, come give me a hug. And Joe, that's her name. Or
Mhm.
Blakely Joe. We call her by her middle name, Joe. I'd be like, Joe, come give me a hug. And she's like, no, mommy's the best. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll remember that. Interesting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But no, being a dad's amazing. I love being a dad. And I think that's also, I don't know, I find a lot of joy in producing for myself, but I also get a lot of joy because my kids are my biggest fans.
Oh, that's awesome.
My son will like turn on YouTube and just watch my stuff on repeat,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
It is so cool. Or we'll like turn on a song in the car because we're planning a music video and I'm like mentally thinking, he's like, Dad, you film a video for this? And I was like, not yet. And he's like, oh, you gotta show me the video when it's done. I'm like, oh, thanks, dude.
Nice.
Or he'll just turn on random stuff or like car commercials. He'll just turn on car commercials. Like, what 5-year-old wants to watch car commercials?
Right.
But he will because I did it.
Oh,
and
that's
so
awesome.
it's always cool. Like
that's humbling, I'm sure.
It is. Oh man, it makes me feel proud that one day that he'll think it's really cool. And he said he wanted to do YouTube one day, or I always like selfishly like live vicariously through my son. So I'm like, maybe one day like he'll want to make videos, like maybe he'll be a filmmaker and Dad and Liam, we're gonna like do the thing together. It's gonna be so cool. And so I don't know what he'll end up doing, but selfishly it'd be pretty cool if he was a filmmaker. Wink, wink.
So I didn't even realize you was military.
I'm very anticlimactic. Whatever. I was in for a whopping like 6 months. I have not even officially in the military. Like, it's just a whole complicated situation. Where basically I was honorably discharged before it ever began. Basically.
Really? Really?
Yeah. I'm deaf in my left ear.
Okay.
And before I got too deep into it, I ended up having to go back and take another hearing test and couldn't pass it the second time. And so they were like, hey, thanks for all your contributions this far. Have a wonderful rest of your life.
It was the tattoo, probably too.
No. No, they didn't care about that. They were like, tattoos, whatever. But if you can't hear, there's a problem.
I get that.
Reasonably so.
Yeah. So my son, like, I'm like, he's coming to me more and everything about like what he wants to do and stuff like that. And like, I helped coach his football team and so forth. And he was going through football and like, I thought that was the path. And one day he's like, Dad, I don't think I want to play football anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you're in high school. Like, this is the prime time. I thought you're, what's going on, man? What's happening? Should I be concerned? He's like, well, I want to do speech and debate.
Speech and debate. That is
a
very large difference from football.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. Okay. Speech and debate. Okay. And then like, when your kids are in speech and debate, if it's in a small school, like the parents have to be judges. And like, I had no idea like how big speech and debate is. Like we went to a school and like, there's just all these kids and buses are coming in and I'm like judging these kids and they're doing like Lincoln Douglas debates and like for real, like doing political debates and you have to judge it. And I'm like, wow, like this is impressive. Okay. And so then like after I judged, I'm like, so what's your goal here, man? He's like, I want to get into like military and I want to, get into like police. Well, he didn't say military, he said police. And then, um, move into like politics and stuff. And I'm like, I've always
Huh.
been a fan of politics and all that. Did I ever take that career? Obviously not.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, so it's always interesting because I always kind of pushed like design on him
Mm-hmm.
and similar,
Yeah.
like because I did 3D animation and so forth, and he was always growing up and he was always like, oh, that is so cool. And I'm like, yeah, man. I'm like, maybe when you're older or something like that, maybe we make a company and like do video games or videos or something. He's like, oh
Sure.
yeah, yeah. And now all of a sudden it's politics and speech and debate, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
I don't like it's kind of interesting because we've joked about what do we think our kids are going to be one day?
yeah,
And I have no idea, but with Liam, he's very creative. My son,
that's
he's so
awesome.
creative. He's like very outside of the box, loves video games. He will make YouTube videos right now with an iPad. He'll set
Oh,
up an
that's so
iPad
cool.
and
Wow.
like make his own little videos. And I'm like, okay, he's going to be our creative kid.
Okay.
And then Blakely, I remember joking. My wife's like, well, what do you think Blakely's going to be? And I was like, a problem. Like, she is just came out on fire.
2 years old, already a problem.
Oh yeah, no, she has got attitude and just like
Oh, wow.
she knows what she wants, and so I think it's very like left brain, right brain,
Yeah.
which is very similar to me and my wife, where
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very much the creative one and
Uh-huh.
like storytelling and woo,
Yeah.
and then my wife is very like
Analytical.
more like
and-
analytical
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
she had originally she's the only one that's got a degree, fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she wanted to go in the healthcare, she wanted to be an EMT, she was more like on the
So
normal people path, so we're
it,
very different in that area.
does she do that, or does she?
No, so some guy in the middle of her EMT school or whatever ended up conceiving a child with her, so she dropped out of that, and I made her put her dreams on hold for me. So
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
not really. I don't know that she was really passionate about doing it. It was just more of she's like, oh, this makes sense and this makes money. And
is she a stay-at-home mom?
yeah,
then?
no, she's stayed home
That's
mom
awesome.
full time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's been able to do that while I've been working. So
That's amazing. To my lovely fiance, I'm sorry that you're back at work right now. I love you being a stay-at-home mom.
yeah, yeah. No, I've even fortunate enough to make enough money where like she doesn't have to worry about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I think it's also great because she gets to be at home with our kids all day.
Yeah.
And like my daughter, she's 2. She's not in school yet. My
No.
son he's in kindergarten now, so a little less of a workload. But
No.
I think
It's
great.
a job.
It is.
Like
It is.
so I've done it, and like I was on long-term disability. Long story short, for anyone that doesn't know, anyways, I was on long-term disability, and I was at home with the kids, and that's how I like my stepdaughter. I really got to be closer with her because
Yeah.
of that, and I was always there while my fiance was, working. She was my girlfriend at the time.
Sure.
And she was working and I was at home. And so it was like complete flip around. And then, once I went back to work, like my career just blew up, and I'm like, yeah, you want to stay at home with the kids, go for it. And I loved it, like absolutely loved it.
Totally.
And so like last year when mortgages was running a little tough, and I'm like, yeah, money's a little tighter right now, babe, maybe you should go back to work.
Yeah.
Like I hated the whole idea of even telling her that. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like, because I love my clothes being folded and hung up and all of that. I'm like, now I have to do all this myself. Wait,
Ugh.
ugh.
Yeah. I mean, we've been really fortunate, and luckily we just had the opportunity to do that. And laundry aside, it's been nice that she can just kind of do whatever she wants. And if she wanted to go to work, we can make that happen too, or whatever.
That's
too.
awesome.
But we've talked about and joked about like when the kids, like all the kids are in school,
Right.
then like what is she going to do with her time? And maybe she'll go try to pursue something or her dreams then, because she's got a lot more time. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, while we have kids and they're young and they're at the house, like she hangs out at the house, holds it down. And it's also great because more times than not, I'm working from home too. So it gives the opportunity, I think, for us to be able to hang out more as a family,
Oh, that's cool.
spend more time together. Or if sometimes I'm like, you know what, I don't feel like working today.
No.
Like maybe we'll go to the mall, or, I don't know, let's go get lunch, or,
Yeah.
it's afforded us the opportunity to be able to spend more time together as a family,
And you got to
which,
take those moments too to,
yeah,
do that. Like
totally.
I knew this weekend was going to be super busy. So I'm like, hey, babe, date night.
Yeah. Well, and, I'm really humbled to have the
Mhm.
opportunities that I have and be able to work, but it is a lot of work, and
Yeah.
I do work a ton.
Mhm.
And if you ever wanted advice on work-life balance, don't talk to me, because it just never stops at this house.
Yeah.
But I also travel a ton, usually about
Yeah.
at least once a month. I fly up somewhere else in the country. And so I'm gone a lot. I'm on shoots a lot.
Mhm.
So like when I can be home, not my wife doesn't have to go to work and be gone and miss the kids. I don't have to necessarily leave and miss the kids all the time as much. We just love that, the
Yeah.
dynamic. It works. It's hard sometimes, but it's also got a lot of perks too.
Yeah. Yeah. So we talked a lot about carving your dreams, and I went over a few questions. You jumped to a few of my questions before I even got to them, which I
Yeah.
love. I
Yeah.
love that about you. But if there was any advice that you could give to anyone right now about how they could carve their own dreams,
Sure.
what would that be?
Man, I would say, if there's any bit of advice that I can say, is like, very Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Just do it.
Like, you just got to do it.
I love it. I love it.
There's a book that I encourage everybody on the planet to read. You will never regret reading it. It's not even a long book. I think it's maybe 200 pages, real thin book, called Finish Giving Yourself the Gift of Done, by John Acuff. Um, and in the book, it basically talks about how to get things done.
Okay.
Like, a lot of people will start things and not finish
I'll
them,
never finish it.
or they just won't start at all.
Damn.
Like, because they're afraid of failure, or they're
Yeah.
afraid of, like, well, what if I get too busy, or what if I'm not busy enough, or
Yeah.
what if this thing doesn't work, or whatever. And there's a lot of different things he talks about, but there's two big things that I think have been especially important in my life that has helped me get to where I'm at. And one is, when you're starting something, I'll use weight loss as an example, because that's what he does, and it's so true. Is people would much rather say that they lost 100 pounds one time than they lost 20 pounds 5 times.
No.
So they start with this goal of, like, I want to be a filmmaker. And then if they do it for 5 years and they're not a filmmaker, whatever, like, unrealistic goal that they've set in their head, and they don't make it to exactly where that end dream is, now they've failed. Right.
Yeah.
And so instead, it's like, okay, well, I want to make one video. I want to make a music video. Like, I want to be a filmmaker. I know that. But let's start here and chip away at that bigger goal.
Building up.
Yeah,
and up
building
and
those
up.
obtainable goals. So
Yeah.
I want to lose 100 pounds. Let's start at 20. I want to lose 20 pounds.
Right.
And then when I lose that 20 pounds, I'm going to lose 20 more pounds.
Yeah.
And every time you do it, you're like, wow, it's just another 20.
Yeah.
And now next thing you know, like, you've lost
You're
100
up here.
pounds. Well, and it's interesting too, because people will go and they'll be like, I want to lose 100 pounds, and they'll lose 50. And then they'll be like, dude, I'm like barely halfway there. Like,
Oh, wow.
this
Yeah.
goal is so
Yeah.
insurmountable, but they don't stop and look and be like, dude, you just lost 50
Lost
pounds.
50 pounds.
That's
right.
a lot of weight to
Yeah.
lose. Like, do you know how
Yeah.
much weight 50 pounds is?
I should have took your advice last year.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to lose 80, and I only lost like, I lost 40, and I gained 10 back over the holidays.
Yeah.
So.
But still, like, 30 pounds, like, people get discouraged and they're like, nah, well, I didn't hit my goal, so I guess I'm going to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, but they just don't stop and smell the roses along the
No.
way and see that. So that's one big thing
No.
that I would say is, like, obtainable goals. Set those goals that are reachable and obtainable, and then keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, he talks about a thing called noble obstacles.
Okay.
And that is where our natural instinct is to justify our BS, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't get this thing done because I was spending time with my family. I
Yeah.
didn't get this thing done because I just really wasn't feeling good today.
No.
Oh, I didn't get this thing done, whatever. But then when you really look at it, you're like, were you actually sick?
No.
Did you actually hang out with your family? Like,
No.
was it meaningful time? Like,
No.
is that why you really didn't get it done? Or was it because you really didn't want to get it done?
Yeah.
And so you put that noble obstacle. It was a noble cause on why you didn't get, you didn't see the results that you wanted. And so you use that as a crutch to justify your your
Yeah.
bad choices, really. You know, not I say all this to
Speak.
yeah. Well, I say all this to say, go spend time with your family. If you're sick, take a sick day. You know,
Yeah,
like I'm not
yeah.
saying like, you know, but I think there's a lot of times in my life that I would be like, oh man, no, I don't really have anything else I really need to get done. I was really productive yesterday, so I think I deserve a day off.
Right.
And then like I look at my schedule and I'm like, oh my god, and I still have a lot to get done, and I do not deserve a day off. Or
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go hang out with the family, but really I sat on the couch and watched TikToks all
Yeah,
day, and
yeah.
I didn't get anything done. But I was
Mhm.
like, but it was a family day,
Yeah.
you know. So I think those noble obstacles really evaluate your excuses
Yeah.
of like, why are you not achieving your dreams?
Yeah.
Why are you not getting things done? Why are you not seeing the results? And like everyone's heard the famous like Einstein quote of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. If you're not seeing the results that you want, then why?
Yeah.
Like either you're doing something wrong or like you're not doing something.
I completely agree. That's what Carving Mondays is all about.
Yeah.
So Sunday, I prefer to actually do Sunday for
Yeah.
planning days, but sometimes the family comes over,
Sure.
for Sunday. So it's Carving Monday. Carve
Yeah.
out your Monday, make big plans. I mean, obviously sometimes meetings and things like that are going to take place, but, plan one day and then the rest of the day do.
Yeah.
And do everything. So, if you're on Tuesday, Wednesday, and you start going back to your drawing board and your planning board, I'm like, wait, why didn't you already plan that on Monday? So then you can do all week long.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of like what I push and why I'm all about the Carving Mondays and so forth. Because to me, that's one of the most important days to get your week started is on Monday. So then the rest of the week, just
the week you can be getting stuff done.
Get stuff done.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly love that. I am not at all that organized in my life. I'm planning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I got another call over here, and then I'm like, I feel like I'm like Grand Central Station. How can I take your call? So I am not that efficient at all. But
well, you need to get the wife to help you with the analytical piece.
I know. She's always like, "Oh, like I can help. I can do something," and I'm like, I got it.
Hey, it's cool.
I'll figure it out.
You've obviously been making it work.
I make it
very
work
well. So
it's kind of funny. I've got a name tag on my desk that says "Mr. Making Stuff Happen."
I like it.
Yeah. For the PG terms of it, but
Yeah.
got a name tag. It says that. I'll make it happen. I'll make it work.
Make it happen. You absolutely do. I so appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much again. And thank you for the opportunity to work with me on Carver Sync as well. I'm super excited with what we can do for some real estate agents and even other businesses out there. I'm excited about the future, man. 2024 is going to be an awesome year. I'm excited to have you on board. And so we're going to wrap this up with one final thing.
Okay.
You're taking it to the next level, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're saying you're going to take over the world. You've already made it here. We're going here. Are there any dreams that are too big, or do you believe no dream is too big and you can take on the world? And where is your big dream? What's the big one?
That's a great question. And that's a very complex question too. I always say that, I don't know I think, is it Ryan Reynolds or Matthew McConaughey? One of those like
both
handsome
are great
Hollywood
actors.
studs, right? They were getting an award and they said that, they asked, who's your icon? Who's your person you look up to? And they said, me in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
That's their aspiration. That's their hero, is in me in 5 years. And in 5 years, it's going to be me in 5 years. And in 5 years, it's going to be me in 5 years.
No.
And that's kind of the way I look at it is, especially in production, do I want to be a Steven Spielberg? Nah, I want to be me. I want to I'm going to figure it out and I want to do my own thing. We're not the same people. I don't necessarily believe in whatever. Would I like the bank account that Steven Spielberg probably has? Yes. But do I want to be him? No, I'm going to figure out my own lane and whatever. And I think that I don't have these ginormous, like, I want to be a trillionaire and one day I'm going to be buddy with Jeff Bezos. No. But I do want success. I do want to continue to work till financial freedom and retire young and, eventually make my money work for me and just be that guy. So I guess that would be my overall arching goal. and I'm just going to continue to keep doing it.
I
Like,
like
and
it,
I
man.
believe in the same thing where like my hero and my whatever is just me in 5 years, and in 5 years we'll see where I'm at.
I
And
love that.
yeah,
That's pretty cool. I like that. So my dream is to live on a boat
oh,
and travel the world. Like that's
that
my
sounds
big one.
seasick. Is what
Nah,
that sounds like.
yeah,
I don't know if I could do all that.
I love
Yeah,
boats. I mean, eventually when I'm old, it'll probably be more like a cruise ship. They do the
yeah.
whole cruise ship things. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool for retirement. Like,
Oh man,
retire on a cruise ship, just travel around and stay in your room.
seriously. What did
So
you?
like
The world was it the?
the world cruises that they do.
Well, there's one that they just started that was like the biggest cruise ship or whatever, but they have a thing for
Hmm.
like people who are retired or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
That I want to say it's something ridiculous. Like, is it 50,000? I think it's like 50,000 a person per year.
yeah.
But they sail and they hit
Mhm.
like 140
Oh
something
yeah.
continents.
Oh, I've looked at
Or
it.
not continents, sorry, countries.
Countries. Countries.
Yeah, and they like, and it's like all inclusive, all the
Yeah.
food, all the drink, all the
Yeah.
everything, all the amenities, whatever. 50,000. I'm like,
Mhm.
you know, like I probably pay that now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not unobtainable.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's legit. I mean, I was looking at balcony, so the price goes
Yeah.
up a little higher, but because I don't want to be claustrophobic,
Yeah,
in the
you gotta be able to look
room
out
in the
and
center,
see.
like, yeah, I need the
Yeah.
balcony,
Yeah.
okay? So, but yeah, I'm like, if I'm too old to sell the boat myself, then there you go, like I feel like I was born too soon. I was supposed to travel space, so if I can't travel space yet, let's travel the world.
That'd be something. Go to the moon.
Yeah,
Hit up
right.
Elon or
Like,
whoever's
go to
going the moon.
Mars and,
Yeah.
see the galaxy. Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for
You've
having
been
me.
amazing. Everyone, I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Get out there and carve your dreams.